and I didn't realize I was late. All right, we're 5 minutes late, so I guess we'll get started. So I call the Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting to order. There are 5 members present, therefore it will take 4 affirmative votes to pass anything. The board is authorized to grant or deny a variance by Part 3, Section 60 of the Englewood City Charter. Anyone aggrieved by a decision rendered by this board may appeal that decision to a court of record. However, such appeal must be made within 30 days of the board's decision. Any approved variance is effective at the end of the appeal period. Building permits for construction associated with an approved variance will not be issued until the appeal period is ended. And building permits must be obtained and construction begun within 180 days of their variance's effective date. Procedure for the meeting is that a case will be introduced and an overview be given by the staff. Applicant will present their request and the reasons for the variance as they think it should be granted. Proponents will be given an opportunity to speak, and opponents will address the board as well after that. And then if needed, the staff will address the board again. So, if I have all my pieces. Yeah, roll call if we could, please.
Mr. Rieger?
Present.
Ms. Schmitz? Ms. Flynn? Present. Vice Chair Friesen?
Present.
Mr. Elstrom?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Sheldorn? Chair Finn?
Okay. The public hearing for case VAR 2018-010 with the applicant of Bill Anner, property at 693 East Belleview Avenue, is requesting a 6-foot solid construction fence to be constructed within the front setback. So I do have verification of the publication and posting on the property.
Do you swear or affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that you will tell the truth in this proceeding before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals?
You.
Please state your name.
Will Charles. Okay. So as you said, this is for a 6-foot solid fence to be constructed in the front setback of a property. In this zone district, the max height is 4 feet if it's an open fence, what you kind of think of as like a picket fence or kind of like a split rail kind of thing. Or it could be 3 feet if it's closed. The main reason that the applicant is applying for this variance has to do with the large car volume that goes down East Bellevue. They're requesting a fence to kind of go in line with where the neighboring fences are, as you can see kind of in this one where that fence ends. This would allow for not only kind of a noise buffer, but also an aesthetic one with not having as large of a road directly out in front of the property. The first criteria on this one is that there's unique physical conditions. The road in which the property is located on is kind of the unique condition of this one. The staff doesn't feel that there's any public health, safety, or welfare issue involved with this variance application. A lot of the other properties along the street have similar fences located in the front yard. Again, it also would not impair future development along this strip of the road. Additionally, because of the large noise volume, there's not really another way to reduce it beyond building a fence that's taller than 3 feet tall if it's closed fence. And so for that reason, staff is recommending approval for this variance. And I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions for staff at this point? Thank you. The applicant may come forward and be sworn in. Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that you will tell the truth in this proceeding before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Bill Anner, and my address is 693 East Bellevue, or shortly will be. I think staff Will laid it out pretty well. It's we're just trying to be consistent. The next door neighbors have the same fence, and we're just trying to be consistent with that. And of course, we're trying to buffer Bellevue and make it a better situation. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions? So where's your access to the house? Is it shared with the neighbor to the west, or?
It was granted as a shared access. I think, and I don't know the history, Will would know that better than me, but at one point, the neighbor to the west owned both properties, and it was subdivided, and obviously sold. And during the subdivision process, there was a cross easement. I think it's 32 feet wide, 16 feet on each side of the lot, and there's a shared driveway access.
So you'll pretty much be building the fence along the whole frontage there, except for where the driveway is?
Exactly.
And we're 17 feet back, is that what I read here from the property line? We can ask him when he comes back up.
That's what it says, from back of curb.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody that wants to speak in favor of this? There are a lot of people out here, so. Anybody opposed? All right. Any more questions for staff at this point? I think you answered my question on where the 17 feet was. So. All right. We'll close this part of the hearing then. And what do we think? Discussion amongst ourselves here.
I drive this stretch of work every day, and for fun, I was just trying to see how many houses did not have a fence. I get on the first I think 3-foot fence would actually kind of look at the amount of 6-foot fences there are. And they're mixture. Some are wood, some are stones.
Yeah, it's just kind of an odd lot also. I mean, there's a lot that either have their side to Bellevue or back to Bellevue, so it is a unique situation somewhat.
I'd actually looked at that lot a little bit for myself and understand that problem completely. So I do think it makes sense in this case too.
Yep. I ride my bicycle down that sidewalk quite a bit at rush hour. It feels like a superhighway down there. I wouldn't want to not have a fence. So, yeah. Yeah.
35 to 55.
Yeah. Yeah. Right in there.
So do we have a motion to approve this then? Or should I take it now before we discussed it, I guess? But
I move that case VAR 2018-012. Wait, am I on the wrong one?
Yep. 010.
I'm on the wrong one. I move that case VAR 2018-010, 693 East Bellevue Avenue be granted a variance for a 6-foot solid construction privacy fence to be constructed within the front setback.
Second.
okay. Any further discussion? All right, call for the vote then.
Mr. Rieger?
I voted yes. I believe the first criteria has been met, that unique physical conditions exist, such as size, shape, location, or topography or surroundings exist, because most of the homes along Bellevue have fences as well. I voted yes and believe the second criterion is consistent and there's no public health or safety or welfare issues. Third criterion, I believe, has been met, and the variance will not permanently impair the use or development of the adjacent conforming properties or alter the essential character of the neighborhood due to most of the homes having fences already. And I also believe that the fourth criterion has been met, that the variance is not a self-imposed difficulty or hardship.
Ms. Flynn,
I voted yes for the reasons stated.
Mr. Elstrom,
I voted yes for very much the same reasons.
Mr. Taylor,
I voted yes for the reasons stated.
Vice Chair Friesen.
I also voted yes for the reasons stated.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Our second case tonight is case number VAR 2018-012 at 4158 South Grant Street with Sealand Peterson as the property owner. Staff?
Oh, I guess I've already been sworn in, but you can do it twice.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that you will tell the truth in this proceeding before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals?
I do.
State your name.
Will Charles. Good to see you guys again. It's been all 3 minutes. So as you said, for this one, it is a variance for exceeding the 1,000 square foot garage limit. This property is located at 4158 South Grant Street. So as far as the property, it's a 50 by 125 or 6,250 square foot lot with an existing house of about 780 square feet and an existing garage that's detached from the house that's about 768 square feet. What the applicant is proposing would be to add an addition to the garage, which would bring it up to a total of 1,464 square feet approximately. As far as the criteria, the house is unique as it was built in 1923 before it was part of the city of Englewood. Additionally with that, many of the windows on this house are actually located on the east side of the property where any sort of addition to the house would naturally go. Because of this, the applicant is requesting a variance to add an addition to the garage. If the addition was to be constructed onto the house, additionally, they would have to more than likely replace their sewer line that goes along the back, as well as come up with unique ways to add more windows into the house to bring in more light. As far as second criteria, it should not cause any sort of health, public safety, or welfare to the property. Many of the neighbors for the property, as you can see, were in favor of the variance. Additionally, for the third criteria, most of these are already developed single-family residential properties, and so it shouldn't impair the ability for them to construct anything. As far as the fourth criteria, the applicant, when I was discussing with him whenever he came in, noted that he feels it would be very difficult to turn any sort of cars into a drive or a garage that's built off of the house, just with the turn radius of getting around the actual portions of the house that currently exist. Although with adding it to the house, there would not be a need for a variance. Because of this, staff is not taking a position on this variance case, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Is this area one of the ones considered or being considered for ADUs?
Depends on the day. As far as the current code, it would not be because it's in the single family. With the originally proposed that went through Planning and Zoning Commission, it would be one of the ones on the ADUs. But as it currently stands for the Monday City Council, no.
And do we know if the proposed building permit, would the addition be part of the garage, or is this part of living space?
The applicant answer, I believe it was all supposed to be garage, though.
Thank
you. If anything was a building permit for a livable space, we would deny it. Yep.
other questions for staff at this moment? I may have one for you afterwards, but
I have one real quick. How close does this get to the lot coverage, if you've calculated that?
I did a rough calculation when he first came in. I don't believe it got close. I think for this, I want to say it's 40% for this zone district.
Okay.
So I don't believe it got close. Mainly to do with the way our, if you remember that office variance we did a couple months back, a lot of the driveway width doesn't count towards your lot coverage, which kind of is where a lot of what would be lot coverage for his is considered. So it did not hit the lot coverage requirement, but it definitely gets closer.
thank you. The applicant may come forward and be sworn in. Thank you.
You swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that you will tell the truth in this proceeding before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals?
I do.
State your name.
Zealand Peterson at 4158 South Grant Street.
Do you have anything you want to add to what staff has already said, or what do you, maybe explain to us a little bit about what you're wanting to do and why the garage needs to be that large?
Well, first off, the way it's laid out right now is kind of unique in the sense that you approach the garage from the street and not the alley, unlike most of them around me. And you'll see that the existing garage is very close to the property line. It's within 3 feet, but would leave very little turning radius to get into a garage. And I prefer entering from the front, actually, than the rear. So to me, that's ideal. And if you look in the lower right-hand corner of that lot, there's a small structure there. It's a tin storage shed. And it's a part of the yard I really don't use for anything as it is. Sort of add slightly onto the south and then just around the corner would give me a lot of more usable space. And it would be just workshop only, hobby shop space. It could occupy a car if it had to, but that's really not my intention. There would be no running water, no sewage, nobody living there. And in addition to that, I'm kind of going to be forced into retirement a little earlier than I ever anticipated. My business partner and I have been working together for 35 years, and he decided he was going to call it quits when he turned 70, and that'll be in a year and a half, in June of 2020, at which point I'll be 60. And I'd be all for sticking around for another 2 or 3, 4 years, but I really don't have that option. We own the building that we work in at 3975 South LaPan Street and been there 27 years. And I'm in no position to buy him out, and even if I were, I wouldn't do it because I can't run that place by myself. And I don't choose to hire anybody, either a helper or a partner. So I'm really left with no choice in that matter.
Uh-huh. So in regards to this addition, I understand the turning part of it into the second garage door, if you will, the 12-foot overhead, as you've got it called on this drawing. The other piece of the L is basically additional workshop then. I'm just trying to understand why you wouldn't make it the 1,000 square feet that zoning does allow.
Well, it's a 3-car garage as it is right now, and I have 3 cars in there, and a motorcycle, and a snow blower, and a lawnmower, and didn't take long to fill it up. No, it's still manageable, and I have workbenches in there and a few things, but that's really doesn't give me room to work a table saw, for example. I need some length and some depth to it, and if I were to build up to the 1,000 square feet that's considered standard, I would add 9.7 feet to the south side of the existing garage and 24 feet deep. And that almost doesn't even seem like worth the effort. And by adding on, like I say, to the garage instead of the house, I could still have a decent-sized backyard with proper drainage, and it wouldn't block the light coming through the east-facing windows, and I'd still have access from the street to the back, and there would be a 4-foot distance between the south side of the new structure and the property line.
So you said something in here about if we didn't allow it, then you'd try to put it on the back of the house. Is that what I understood?
Well, I feel I really need to do something. And it just makes a lot of sense to me to build onto the garage and not the house. And it's my understanding that if I added onto the house, I could add as much as 1,000 square feet additionally. And it wouldn't require a variance. And if I chose to, I could make the walls 16 feet tall, which I do not care to do. And I don't plan to do that here either. The existing walls on the garage are 9 feet tall, and so the new walls would be 9 feet tall. The peak on the garage now goes from north to south, and it would be blended so that the new portion would have a peak going from east to west. And that would be ideal for another project that I have in mind in the future, and that'd be furthering my experiments with solar energy, photovoltaic, and hot air passage. And I want to put skylights facing south and kind of run with that, see what happens.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Is there anything unique about the lot itself that is causing your need for this variance?
Not really. It's basically flat. There's no big trees or existing structures or encroachments or anything of that nature. One thing I was hoping to avoid is having to disturb the sewer line, which I have had cleaned and ran a camera through it, and with an electronic device had it located. And if you're looking by chance at the plans I laid out there, the corner of the addition would just miss that sewer pipe, so that if in the future I ever had to do anything with it, it would be a lot more accessible. And then if new structure went onto the house as opposed to the garage, I would have to change my electrical service to the house, which would require updating the service panel, and no doubt some time without electricity. And the floor level in my house is 30 inches above the ground level in my backyard. So if I were to match the roof line on the top, it would require construction that's over 10 feet tall, which would require 2x6 construction as opposed to 2x4 construction, which would once again add to the cost. So all in all, I think what I'm really seeking is to have the square footage allowed a few more square feet. It'd be 696 additional square feet. onto the garage and make good use of the land and ultimately leave a smaller footprint on my property.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you. I don't see anybody else here opposed or in favor, so we'll close this public hearing. And I would entertain a motion regarding this, and we can discuss it.
I move that case VAR 2018-012 at 4158 South Grant Street be granted a variance to construct an approximately 1475 square foot garage.
Second.
Okay, and discussion.
It's
Then,
said I'm torn. It's a valid point. You could put a shop on his house. Up until the amount of coverage.
I mean, we have, I guess in my view, we have the city council in their wisdom at some point set up a maximum of 1,000 square feet for the rear structure, and this is significantly over that, so
Yeah.
I've got some issue with that, I guess, just in principle, because at that point we can start doing that for anybody that wants one, and we're essentially rewriting the code there.
Yeah, I can't find, that first criterion is what I'm struggling with.
Right.
I can't find a unique physical condition that would warrant granting this. While it would be more complicated or costly to do things that are in addition, those aren't things that we really can factor in much.
Against the property line. Got a 3-bay garage. We can put them on the access. 2 of them. That was his idea. That's good enough to be. But again,
Correct.
where's that?
Yeah, I think if it had to do with the position and that were the case.
Does this site allow for like a third structure if that additional square footage that he's looking for was built as a third structure that's not a garage or classified as an addition to the house? Would the site allow that?
Yes, what's the permit if it's over 120 or 80 square feet? A shed or something like that would just require.
Right, I mean, you could still have the shed, but
Yeah, there's some,
Doing anything from it, so yes.
yeah, you can have an accessory structure. But I think there's some size limits.
I mean, I'm not overly opposed to the idea that it's just the size of the thing and, you know, being 50% bigger essentially than what we truly allow. And I'm having trouble with the first criterion. I mean, it's a little bit of a unique situation to be coming into a 3-car garage from the front. On the other hand, there is an alley, so you could come in to the back with whatever addition you did. On the other hand, it's already a large garage, so further discussions, thoughts? Should we call for the vote then?
Mr. Rieger?
I voted no. I don't believe the first criteria has been met for unique physical conditions existing, such as size, shape, location, topography, or surroundings, which are peculiar to the land or structure involved, which deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by the other properties in the vicinity. I think the second criterion has been met. The variance is consistent with the intent of the zone district regulations to secure public health, safety, and welfare. I believe the third criterion has been met. The variance will not permanently impair the use of the development or adjacent conforming properties or alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And I think the fourth criterion has been met, that the variance is not a self-imposed difficulty or hardship.
Ms. Flynn?
I voted no for most of the reasons stated. I don't see a reason for going over the 1,000 square feet, even though some of these criteria have been met.
Mr. Elstrom?
Yes, as seems somewhat common. The first criterion was really the only one that held me up. The 2, 3, and 4 worked out okay, but it just didn't seem that it was a remarkably unique property. I definitely appreciate the desire to have a workshop, and I kind of had the question, well, it's not really garage, it's sort of a garage combo / workshop, and I do appreciate your situation, but it just didn't seem to fit the criteria.
Mr. Taylor?
I voted no for the reasons stated.
Vice Chair Friesen?
I also voted no for the reasons stated. And I'm not even really sure on the fourth criteria. I mean, it's wants to build an addition, but they could sort of go anywhere, so it is sort of self-created as well, in my mind. So we appreciate what you're trying to do. It's just, we really can't step outside the rules that are set for us for these garages.
Motion fails 0-5.
All right, I guess we're ready for approval of our previous meeting notes. So I need a motion on that for our November 14th meeting. I believe we were all here.
I move to approve the minutes for Wednesday, November 14th, 2018 Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and approval of findings of fact. Again, I would entertain a motion for that.
I move that the findings, effects, and conclusions from the decision of the Board of Adjustment and Appeals be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Staff, you have anything for us just today?
Just that we will have a January meeting. So far, planned is we have 2 pieces on the agenda for it. So just be looking out for that.
Okay. City Attorney,
Nothing to add.
darn it.
Sorry.
Board, any choice? I guess we skipped a holiday party. Huh? We haven't set one anyway.
No Sue this
So
year.
it's like
so.
almost here.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I'll call it adjournment. Have a good holiday.
You all too.